Good day and welcome back to my channel. So this one's going to be something new or something different or something maybe similar. I'm going to do a Warhammer Knight Titan. It comes in the Renegade kit. I've actually already built several of these. Essentially these are I got these because of my whole fan of BattleTech and big mechs and yada yada yada. But I have an idea for a corrupted Knight Titan, and the thought I have is one that is taken over by a tree spirit. So sort of tree spirit possessed kind of idea sort of thing. So it's roughly in my head, and I'm gonna see what I can do. This is gonna be one of those where I just kind of build and we see where we go. So I want to go ahead and we'll get cracked in. This is essentially the kit we'll start with. Now, what I have here are parts for one Titan. Like I said, I've already built one. What we'll do is we'll start at the bottom. We'll work our way up. So we'll start with the legs, work our way up. And then it'll really start to show as we get into the upper parts of the machine. So let's go ahead and get cracked in. All right, so now you can see I've got the legs together, and they're really pretty straightforward. So now I'm looking at all the parts. I had to go look up instructions for all this, but the big thing I want to point out at this point, and I'm not going to belabor this, but it is something that's relevant, is these things are chunky, and these are gaming miniatures. These are play miniatures. So sprue gates are huge, and the cleanup for these things are just atrocious. So there's a lot of work to do, a lot of cleanup on these, and that's really all I wanted to point out with this. You've got to take some time as you're working on a Knight Titan to get that cleaned up, which chews up a good bit of time. But you do that, you get a decent result. Okay, next step on the possessed tree knight. So I'm having to be a little creative, and I can't, the way this works, right, I really can't video all of the pieces of going together. There's a lot of other, fortunately there's a ton of Games Workshop model building type videos out there. So putting together one of the Knight Titans is actually pretty straightforward. Now, one of the reasons I didn't video was because I didn't have these. I was missing my instructions from the box. So I was kind of fiddling it and winging it, and then I managed to find a copy online, and I pulled them down. I've got the legs together to the point where I don't have the armor parts on, and that's on purpose. I'm going to put the armor parts on later, if at all. Again, this is a Knight Titan that's been defeated in combat and taken over by a spirit of the wood, shall we say, tree spirit, however we want to call it. So this is not chaos driven, but this will be, might as well be. So I've gotten the legs together this much. I thought about doing more complex posing, and I've decided I really don't want to go into all that. I will let a lot of the dynamic work be on the upper torso and the arms. The upper torso, I've got this much done. Now you can probably see I've drilled out some of these vents here, drilled out these here, and I've also drilled out these vents here to the back, which will go here. The idea is to have glowing thing happening from the inside. So I apologize if you hear in the background my daughter is talking to my dog, and she's somewhat excited. So that was, sorry about that, a little bit of technical difficulty. So back to where I was. Where I'm at now is I've done the upper body. I've opened up these vents, and the idea is to put in lighting so that they have an earthly or possessed glow. The other thing I want to do is I want the eyes to light up. So the eyes, and there isn't a good picture, but let's see if we can pull this up here. So, right, the head, right, I want to go ahead and make the inside head glow. So this is the piece of the face that goes on the head. And what I've done is I've put in 2 LEDs. So these micro LEDs here, right? And the way I've done it is I've drilled it out, and I basically took my micro drill and my slow drill and hollowed out this cavity, and then I also punched holes through so that all I need to do really is slide that through there, so that'll come out. I'll stick in there, and what will end up happening is those wires will drop in, because that's where that goes there. Now there's 2 things I can do. I can either choose to choose to wire them and just put loose wires there, so this thing will actually turn. But I'm thinking, why bother? I'm just going to go ahead and put these in. Actually, I might do that just for the ease of putting this together. So I haven't figured out how exactly I'm going to do that, but that's essentially the point. So once that's done, right, and I have that done, then all I need to do is hollow out those 2 pieces, which you can see where those are. Sorry. You can see those 2 pieces there, you know, the 2 lenses. And that'd sit right there, which is right over where the eye goes. Right, so I'll get my fingers to work here. There we are. So you can see that sits there right behind where that eye would go. That will glow. Then I'll just put some clear resin or something in there to help glow. The other thing I need to do is seal that so that when it's done, I don't get light leak around the edges. And that's the other thing I have to worry about here, is if I'm going to make the internals of this glow, I want the light to come out where the openings are, but I don't want them leaking out around these seams. So like you can see here, when I put this on, there's what will be a light leak here. So essentially I have to put all this together, and then I need to hit this, since I'm going to, you know, anywhere I'm going to be not hairy brush painting, I need to spray paint and get the spray done, so that then I can go ahead and put in the internal pieces where I'm basically going to just use cellophane tape. So I'll have something diffusing on the inside for it to glow through. And the interesting thing for this, right, so this is the carapace, and that sits over top of this base here, right? So that's how all this sits. So now these are gonna have to be cleaned up, and that was one of the things I wanted to see, is like where, like, I didn't worry too much about those come on, I didn't worry about those 2 lines, mold lines, there we go, because I knew it was going to be covered up. These here, those are going to be seen, so I want to clean those up, and then I'll need to clear those up. So the quote-unquote cockpit for the thing in the world, right, the pilot actually sits in here, and this is just a center housing. So there's a door that goes here, and now what I could do is, again, intentionally leave a seam so that there will be glow coming out around there. Or I might leave it open and have a tree spirit come out. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do there either, but that tells me what I have to do here. The other decision I have to make is, how am I going to put the power in? Now, it's very easy with all these cablings to just run power line down along the leg and out into the base, which is actually the smart thing to do. Because this part goes right here. It's very easy to just drill a hole right there, and then bring the power cables out back here, run them, or come through here and run along here. You know, it's easy. So odds are that's how that's going to work. So I'm going to be going and doing that. The problem is I can't really video all that the way I'm doing, because I'm thinking as I'm doing, and so I'll be back. but I'm actually getting to the point where I need to put these pieces on and then sort of spray all this so I can then figure out what I'm going to do next. So with that said, I'm going to move on and I'll be back in a bit. And here we are, pretty much with assembly complete. And now the next step will be to move on to the painting. So I figured before I jump to that, I'd go ahead and sort of do a recap of where I am and what's next on the agenda and what I've done and why I made the choices I did. So we've assembled, the model kit, and assembly of these things is pretty well documented all out on the internet. These are not the greatest of kits, and so when you're looking for a lot of the work that goes into, like, say, armor kits and so forth, this struggles. But I did clean up the seam lines and used a lot of techniques to hide some of the workshoppiness of the kit. I did get the wiring done, and I ended up putting a lot more lights in here than I anticipated. And I'll go ahead and I'll plug them in here, and I'll kind of go into the why here. I was kind of looking for a glowy kind of a look, right? Some sort of a glow kind of presence. And the thing is, I was hoping that this light and the two that are down in here would be sufficient. Well, the downside to that is it really wasn't. So as soon as we put on the carapace, the only thing that showed really was this one here and a little bit through there. There wasn't any real illumination anywhere else, and that actually kind of got hidden a lot, because once you put that and the shoulder armor on, you almost don't see it, especially from, when you're gaming with it. You look at it from this angle, so that's almost not even visible. So what I did was I ended up adding another one right there, another one of the breathing ones that goes up underneath the head, so that you'll actually see that there. And then I added all these green ones. I added two, one here and one up there. And what that does is that throws the glow that I actually was kind of going for down underneath. So when I finish putting all this together, we'll put in some windows here so that will glow through from the breathing light, right? And then we'll put the armor on, and then these will have this sort of image I'm looking for. And I still have the lights. Now I do need to finish cleaning up a couple bit here, and then they're pretty much ready. All right. Now, what I've done is all the machinery has been painted in a steel color. It's Citadel lead belcher, and then it's gotten a layer of Null oil and then 2 layers of Agrexler shade, and you can see the difference here of what that did. And I'm very intentionally wanting it to look splotchy like this, especially on the chainsaw, for reasons. I did the same here with the hand. There's more layers on the fingers than there are on the back of the hand. I also magnetized the hand so that I could position it the way I wanted it. Now my original plan here was to give it a look like it was coming in and sweeping aside a tree or something in the way. The thing though with the base is there's not much room for something to be there, so I'm going to have to build something that sort of comes up this way and is in the way, so it can be pushing it aside, and that'll give me the dynamic look I'm looking for. I do have it facing off this way, so it's coming in this direction, so that's the pose I'm going for. Other than the lights and the magnetizing of that hand, I pretty much built it stock, right? And that's how we're going to go with it. I haven't determined whether I'm going to put the faceplate on that or not. I do have the armor plates out, and I've started with giving them their base coat of gold, and that's what the trim's all going to be. The trim's all going to be gold, and then I will put colored paint. I haven't figured out what house color the paint will be for the panels, but we'll do that. And then we're going to go back and we're going to rust the heck out of this thing. We're going to really give it a patina and a beat. I'm probably not going to put the chest plate on, because I would very much like to leave these visible. I want to leave the pipes underneath there visible. The codpiece plate I may hang from here, although I'm kind of liking the way this looks too. So we'll see. I've been contemplating chewing up some of the armor, but this plastic is just so thick for those pieces that won't give me any of the looks that I would like. So I'm probably not going to do that. Last thing to talk about is the base. The base is now, basically the base for this model is just this piece right here. But in order to run the cabling for the wiring, I needed room for that. So what I'm doing is I'm intentionally building it up higher. And what I'll do is I will leave a gap here. And the thing with this is when these drop down, that spot, you can barely see it, that's where the wires will go. And I will have these made in such a way that these will either be able to curl up inside here or go down there. And I'll have foliage or something under there so that when I put this on, then that'll take place. Now, what I do need to do, so this is what this is, and this is the same plug that, the basic, variable wattage transformer I have over here is, and I've got 3 or 4 of these things, and they're great. So all I did was just run this over, and what I'll end up doing is putting earth effects on the surface of this, building it up. And my vision is a swampy, forested kind of scenic base. That's kind of where I'm going. So that's where I'm going to go with this base. I had a whole diorama thing in my head, but it really doesn't quite work with this model. I'm not happy with the way this model positions. Now, there are some options for others. I might try it again later, but we're just going to go with this one with a scenic base, and we're going to see if I can get the real key that I want here is I want to see if I can get that hand pushing a tree or something, a trunk, out of the way, so off the side here. So that's going to be my real scenic challenge, which we will get to on the next as I get to it. So for now, this is where we are. The next part of the project here is to determine the colors for the armor plating, get it painted, and then start with doing all the weathering effects. And again, I'm going to do, I did do the base effects here that we have all on here using acrylics. All the rest of the stuff I'm going to do is going to be oils and powders to get it rusty and dirty and dust, muddy and all that. So that's the plan. That's where we're going to go with this. And I'll just go ahead and I'll leave it at that. And we will talk again on the next video. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, happy modeling.